Well, one of the things that we know for sure is that there's real value in the original news reporting being done today by newspaper reporters and others, but certainly by news reporters. And one of the ways we know that is because by every measurement I've seen, the Pew Center and others, the overall appetite for news in this country is going up. It's not going down. So people value what they're receiving. The irony, though, and the problem we're trying to address is that while the overall demand and appetite for news is going up, at many of the traditional organizations that pay for the reporting to be done, they're having real problems, financial problems, and they're even having to cut staff, including newsroom staff. And that's a dilemma, where your demand's going up but your supply is under threat. That's a real problem. And part of the reason for that is because much of the growth, of course, is in the digital sphere. It's true for all of us. All of us have increasingly turned to digital sources for our news. And many of those digital sources are, in fact, not hiring reporters, or not hiring very many reporters, at least. They're relying upon the reporters of the traditional companies. But none of that value is going back to the company. So NewsRight's designed to try to bridge that gap, to make sure that the traditional reporting organizations who are investing in original journalism are reaping some of the benefits that are being lost right now. NewsRight was an initiative started within the Associated Press by Tom Curley, the head of the AP, and his then general counsel, Sri Kasi, who's now come over and works with me. And I was involved in it off to the side a bit when I was on the Associated Press board for 9 years when I was with ABC News. So this is an initiative that's been going for about 3 years now, and all designed to try to make sure that the people who are paying the reporters receive some of the benefits of their labor. NewsRight has the opportunity to affect a fairly fundamental transformation in the news industry in the digital space, because we're specifically targeted at digital news and digital news consumption. And that transformation is to reestablish the proposition that news reports do have value, and that value is realized by various companies in the digital space, whether by advertising or by subscription or both. And it has to be shared with the people making the investment for the entire system to continue to work. None of us will be benefited if original journalism starts to dry up in the digital space. NewsRight started with the Associated Press, and the Associated Press historically started with newspapers, although the Associated Press moved on in the 90s into video, and of course they have a wonderful still image capacity at the Associated Press. I see something of a similar development for NewsRight. We're starting with text, and our technology is designed for text right now. But after we get text going, which we're hopeful to do in the coming months, then we very much want to move on to still images and to video. We've already had some preliminary discussions with third parties with some technology that can help us measure use of video and still images across the digital sphere. But first we want to get the text part going, and then we'll move on to both images and video. I think of our goals long-term in 3 steps, and they are roughly chronological. First, and we're well on our way toward achieving this first goal, is to get very broad support from in the news industry. In order for this to be a really valuable product that we can offer to the digital companies, we need to be able to represent a lot of news companies so that the internet companies have the convenience of being able to go to one place and get reliable, sure access to a wealth of news information. So the first measurement of success is how broadly is it accepted with the industry. And we've spent the last 5 months since we separated from the Associated Press building that catalog. So now we're something close to, but under 900 different news sites whose digital content we're representing. And we have a ways to go, but we have another 200 or 300 to go in the text area before we're complete, but we're well on our way. The second step in success is gaining acceptance from the digital community, and that will take some time. We will do it in steps as we go and persuade some of the digital companies that we offer them something really valuable, that we offer them a feed of original news reporting and a feed that they know comes from the original source. So as they alternatively could scrape on the internet, they wouldn't know exactly what source they're getting it from, or is it the original version or a changed version. We can give them the original version of these reports. We also can clear the rights, so there's no doubt or ambiguity about copyright, which there's been a lot of talk about and dispute, but we can clear up all that very easily. And third, we can offer data and analytics about how this news content is being consumed. So you know whether, when you look at a given article, has one person read it or 500,000 people read it, which makes a difference. And the third measurement of success, which is the farthest down the road, is how much value can we really return to the original news reporters. It will be ultimately judged in dollars and cents, because the goal here is to make sure that the benefits of news consumption in the digital sphere is shared fairly with the people who created the digital news reports to begin with, and the people then who repackage and distribute and have wonderful relations with the ultimate consumers. This is fundamentally a business-to-business proposition. We're not planning on changing the consumer experience directly, except perhaps, I hope, in one way, which is if we are successful, this will actually facilitate more news content being available to consumers throughout the digital space.